Thanks so much for joining me for this episode of the But First She Failed podcast. Do you ever feel like your digital files are in chaos? Or maybe your home feels overwhelming because it's so disorganized and you don't know where to start to get it organized? Did you know that by organizing your digital files, you can boost your productivity tremendously when it comes to your business, your side hustle, your personal life, and more? Today's episode, we dive into that very topic of digital files and how to get organized. Today's guest, Tracy Hoth, is a 17-year veteran professional organizer. She's a certified life coach who's on a mission to empower coaches to create streamlined, organized businesses. She's also the host of the globally ranked Organized Coach podcast and creator of Organized Coach Academy, where she simplifies everything to help coaches and other business leaders become organized CEOs. Tracy, thanks so much for joining us. I'm so excited to have you on today.
I'm excited to be here, Paola. I just really am excited to talk about organizing anytime that I can.
I love it. I admire people like you because my brain does not work like that. I feel like I am not an organized person like by nature. So it's something that I try so hard to get better at. Gosh, I'm so excited to have this conversation. Tracy, before I get into the interview, I want to ask you the icebreaker question that I ask everyone when they come on the podcast. What did you feel at this week?
Oh my goodness. Mine is around my calendar. I wrote down that I would re-record my webinar that I'm working on in a funnel, and I didn't do it. And I realized there's so many things before that I needed to look at, like thinking about the screenshots that I have in my webinar and all these other parts of it that I didn't, I guess, think through and plan out. And so I still haven't done it.
Yeah.
So we're working on it little by little.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. Part of entrepreneur's life, right? Every week's a little bit like that. That's
Yes.
awesome. And Tracy, could you please tell us in your own words a little bit more about what you do? I think your niche is so fascinating. It's so specific. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes. I help business owners organize the behind the scenes in their business. And so that helps them be more efficient. It helps them train their brain to know where everything is and how to find it and where to find it exactly when they need it.
That's awesome. And how did you get into this? This is so specific. And my understanding is you've been a professional organizer for over about 17 years or so, right? How did you
Yes.
get into that? Can you kind of walk us through that? That's so fascinating.
Yes. I mean, it's so funny to think back on before we had kids, which my oldest is 26 and my youngest is 21. We drew little logos, and I used to rip out pictures of, back then it was just closets. I would rip out pictures of magazines of organized closets. And I thought, I'm going to do that. I want to help people get organized. So when my youngest went to preschool, I was like, I'm going to go just start as a professional organizer. So I read some books, I made some business cards, I made a website, I told people, I started helping friends, and that's how it all began back in 2008.
Wow.
And then I would just help more people. I started speaking on the topic of organization and productivity. And then eventually in 2018, I went and got life coach certified. I knew I wanted to shift from the physical aspect of organizing in people's homes and offices. So I got life coach certified, and I realized, oh my goodness, all this mindset work behind organization, your identity and the stories you're telling yourself or that people told you when you were younger. And then I brought that into my own business. I started moving online, and keeping your stuff organized online is a whole different thing. So when I was growing my business online, my back end, I'm like, I need to take my steps and like get organized because I was spending so much time trying to find things. So I figured out systems and super simple things you could do behind the scenes in your business to get organized. And then I started helping other people do the same thing.
I love that. And I love how you talk about the mindset aspect of that. So could you talk to us a little bit about that? We always hear, you always read about how there is actually a correlation between like the mess, like in your home or the mess in your car or the mess in your room, where your desk, and how you're like ineffective maybe at work or you're not as productive. Like maybe there's some correlation there. Could you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yes. First, I think looking at your identity. And if I were to ask you, why are you not organized now? Someone then would have some thoughts that immediately come up like, well, I'm just a mess. I don't know how that works. Like, I've always been like that. My parents used to tell me I was a piler, whatever the whole stories are.
Yeah.
in your life and the thoughts that you have about yourself. So that's the first aspect of it. And I really like to just look at those thoughts and really bring them to the surface and then dissect them and then find evidence that the opposite is true and kind of move toward that. And as we move toward a new identity, some new thoughts about yourself, then we build the evidence by establishing really simple things into your business that help you see that totally makes sense. I can do that. Like, that's not that as hard as I thought it was. And so we just keep building the evidence that you really are organized. And we even can pull it from other areas of your life to see, where you actually are, but you just hadn't thought about it in that way before.
Wow, I feel so seen right now. Before we started, I mean, I think in the interview part too, I was saying how I'm disorganized naturally and how this is not my forte. So everything you said was like, wow, I never thought of it as a mindset. I never thought about the fact that like
Ooh,
saying, and also the words that we speak are powerful, right? So the fact that I'm saying I'm just disorganized, it's not easy for me, all these things, I'm creating kind of these mental barriers. I never thought about that. So that's really
yes.
fascinating. Oh my
Ooh,
God.
I love that for you.
Yeah.
Just to see it for everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah, this is already I'm already getting a lot out of this. I love that. And on your website, you said something that struck me, right? You said digital chaos, ineffective processes, question mark, wasted time, question mark. Could you elaborate on that? Walk us through why it's so crucial that we organize our digital files and get them really organized.
Well, because I think a lot of your time in your office on your computer is trying to find things that you need. And when your digital files are disorganized, you have no structure. Your brain is spending so much energy going, oh, where did I put that? Oh, maybe it was over here. Nope, it was over here. Is it on my drive? Nope, it's on my computer. And you're spending all that time and energy trying to find things that you need. And so think of if you knew where it was, imagine the time saved, the energy of your brain saved, the decision fatigue, all that to be used toward producing content or serving your clients or marketing and getting more clients. And so that's the first part of it is just, you can find everything that you need when you need it.
Yeah, that's really fascinating how you talk about the fatigue, right? Because in different episodes in the past, I've talked about how we can waste a lot of time with like perfectionism or beating ourselves up or discouragement. Like it drains us of our energy, right? So essentially, you're saying like looking for our things also drains us of our energy, and then we're less effective. So I think that's so fascinating. And you talk about the only file folders you need to organize, your digital files. Can you kind of talk to us about how is that possible? How is it that only five file folders are needed in order to organize our digital lives? Can you walk us through that? Because I'm
Yes. Well, here it begins that you are going to help your brain know and make it really simple. So, if something comes into your computer, I like to start with it's either home stuff or business stuff. So, if it's in business, there's 5 folders that it would fit into one of these 5 folders. And then your mind is like, oh, it's only 5 things I have to decide instead of, 45 things. So, it's either operations, which is behind the scenes. Some people might call it admin. Then there's marketing, which is outward facing in front that people see. And then there's my content, anything you create. And then education, anything someone else creates that you have downloaded all those freebies and your coaching programs and certifications. And then clients. So operations, marketing, my content, education, and clients.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, because I think putting things into buckets helps me, right? When I'm like, even
Mhm.
this is gonna sound funny, but I am not the best at even organizing our home. My husband is amazing. Like he can take the whole house and like it can be like chaotic, and he can take that and come into the room, and within 30 minutes, 20 minutes, the place looks immaculate, like for a magazine. Like
Oh,
for me, it's incredible. I'm like, how do you do that? For me, the same, if I was to do the same thing, it would take me hours, like 5 hours to get everything in its place. I've gotten better over the years, obviously, because it's been 15 years now of us being together, but and I think I've learned a lot in that regard. But I think that's fascinating. But what's always helped me is like is when I see the overwhelm is like this goes into the room, this goes into the bathroom, like starting there. So it's kind of like
Yes.
putting things into buckets, if you will, as well. So it's kind of the same theory, I guess, right?
Yeah. And if everything has a home that it goes into, and that's my five, I also have 5 steps to organize anything. And so we use those 5 steps then to organize into the 5 file folders. But to sort is the first thing, and that's kind of what you were saying. You sort into categories like with like stuff. Then you purge, you go back through each category and purge and make decisions. And then you assign homes to things. And then you set limits with containers or drawer dividers or shelves or, whatever is the limit setting. This is where people usually start. They go buy containers and they're like, I'm going to get organized. I got a new planner. I have a new container.
Yeah.
And then you maintain. So sort, purge, assign home, set limits, and maintain. The acronym is SPASM, which has been with me for 17 years, even though it's so goofy, but
Yeah.
you will not forget it. And those are the steps to organize. But I always think about that too. If your house or your area is really messy because life happens and things don't get put away, if you have homes for them, you can pick up quickly. And to go back a little, the definition of organized is to know what you have and be able to find it when you need it. And so if things have homes, you can get them put back quickly. If things on your computer have homes, you know the folders they live in, then you can get the computer cleaned up quickly. Because there's times, even I work on projects and I'm downloading things to my desktop because I need them right away. So they're not in their home, but I know where they live. My brain's been trained to know where they live so I can get it picked up quickly.
Wow, that's fascinating. What would you say to someone that they have no idea? So someone that, how you just said that if it has a home, then it's easy to put away, which is true, right? I think sometimes people can go move into a place, they never create a home for a certain thing, and then it gets overwhelming and out of hand. What would you recommend for someone that's in a situation like that, either like physically in their home or digitally in their business?
Yes, I say just pick something small, like a small win that you can get. Maybe it's a category. So, for example, in your home, maybe it's you pull all the jeans out of your closet and you go through the organizing steps. You sort. So, maybe you sort by length of jean or whatever, dress pant, jean, casual, or something. And then you go through each category and you purge and then you assign a home. The declutter steps are to sort and purge. And then the organizing steps are assign home and set limits. And then the maintenance step are more the habits that you need to have in place to keep all that in order. So when you're overwhelmed and when you don't know where to start, you just pick a spot, maybe the easiest thing for you or the thing that's going to have the greatest impact, and you just go through the organizing steps.
And you said set limits. Does that mean, like, for this jean example, does that mean I can only have 5 jeans? Like 5 jeans is enough that I need. So if I have 6 jeans, it's too much and then I give it away? Or what do you mean by set limits?
Yes, that's a great example of setting the limit, or it's an area in your closet. Like I have a little divider on a shelf and I have a stack of my jeans because I fold them and put them on a stack. If I can't fit anymore in that little area, then I know, oh, that's my trigger. The limit has been reached, and I'm going to go back through the organizing steps again and sort and purge and make sure they're all in their home again. But yes, the limit is your natural trigger. When it's full, then you know to go back through the steps.
Got it. Got it. And is that something you would say, is that different for everyone? Or is that something that you're like a healthy balance would be every 6 months? You know how they say spring cleaning and do they say winter cleaning? I don't know. Cleaning and I don't know. I usually do winter cleaning up north or, down here even I do it, but how often do you think is the norm or is that just everyone, is that just a different scenario for everyone?
Yeah, I think that can be different for everyone. I like to, when I think of maintaining, I like to tie it to something that you already do. And so that's a great example. The seasons change. And so in spring and fall, that's a great time to go through your closet. With your paper, we all do taxes. And so I like at tax time, go through all the paper, clean out your files, get everything cleared out. That's the one time maybe you would do it. Or maybe every Sunday night you go through and plan your calendar. Like that's where you maintain
Do that, yeah.
the to do list and that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's the only habit that I actually have that I that we do that, the planning our week and organization with that.
Good for you. See, there's a thing. You could pull from that and
Yeah.
you're like organized in that area.
Yeah, so I'm proud of myself now. At least I
I
passed one of the categories. That's great. Oh my gosh, and I love this. And now for business owners, right? Where can you start when it comes to starting to organize your business for the best return on investment? You talk about that, correct?
Yes. Yeah. I digital files is probably my number one. So make the 5 files that I talked about and start sorting everything into those files. And that would be like open your documents and your downloads and your Dropbox and your wherever. And first decide your one place, your hub. Is that going to be on your computer because no one else needs to get to it? Is it going to be on your drive because you have a team that needs to get to files? So decide your one place and then start using the steps to sort. So digital files is one of the biggest places that you will see a return on your investment because you'll be able to find things. Your mind will know where they go. So you won't have to be questioning. It's one of 5 files. It makes it really easy. The other place that I love helping clients get organized is their bookmarks bar. So many people have, 75 tabs open because they're scared they won't be able to find what
Yes.
they need. And so if they have an organized bookmarks bar or favorites bar, I've seen it. I've helped clients do that. And they're like, Tracy, it's over here. I can get to it. It's right there. I know where it is. Here's this. Look at this cool folder I have. All the programs I'm in or courses I'm in are right here in this folder on my bookmarks bar. All the links I need to get to are there. So the bookmarks bar is a big one. And the other place I'd say is I run my business with dashboards, which are Google Sheets that are really fun and beautiful. But I have 4 dashboards, and one of them holds all my business assets, all the links I need, my branding stuff, my podcasting things. Everything's in there. So if I need something, I can find it quickly. I know exactly where it is. I can get to it in one click because it's on my bookmarks bar. And then I can know the tab it's in and find it. So things like that. And I just think people just don't know. Once they have that, people are using it. It's a structure, it's already built. They can go to it quickly and stay organized. I think they just, especially if it doesn't come natural or if you're busy doing other things, you just don't think about it and it's really easy.
Yeah, but I can see how it's such a waste of time. Like I'm thinking as you're talking about this, how there's so many times that like I in a previous episode we talked about this, but I'm a perfectionist. I realize that some of my procrastination comes from that, or maybe I'm just a
Hmm.
procrastinator. But that being said, sometimes I do want to jump on a project, or I do want to jump on something, but then I have to think, wait, where was that course? Where did I file that? Where's that password? Which email did I use? And then it takes me time. So then I have to I get overwhelmed at the thought of going through like a digital hunt of looking for the password, looking for this, and then I end up
Yes.
postponing it for weeks and weeks on end. And sometimes I don't get back to it until like, oh, I wanted to do that. I've been wanting to do or finish that one program, but I don't. And so I make it kind of essentially I'm creating the habit or the system. I'm not creating the right system. I recently read that book, what was that? The Seven Habit? No, Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Atomic Habits talks about make it easy, right? So essentially, when we don't do this thing, we're making it hard for ourselves, is what I'm
Yes.
hearing. Like we're making it, like in my case, I'm making it hard for myself to go back to be productive with the courses that I take that I haven't finished and all that because I don't know how to find them or it takes me a long time to go back through and that's why
Yes, that's a great example of how easy it can be if you have a dashboard like that and you have everything you need in there. The other example that I was thinking of that people give a lot is they are trying to get better with time management and they have something on their calendar and then they go to do the task and they're like, they spent 30 minutes trying to find what they needed to do the task. Exact
yes.
same thing, but but so then it becomes like I'm terrible at time management. No, you just have it disorganized and then that all plays into it and you have this then new identity and more evidence that you're disorganized when it
Wow.
was really just because of, or you're really bad at time management when it was just because you couldn't find the file.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Cause I mean, even like there's so many times where I'm like, I'm going to do X thing. I'm going to do X thing from this time to this time on Wednesday. That's going to be my time to do it. And then like you said, I would sit down to do the thing. And then it's like, wait a minute, where was that thing? Where's the password for this? Where's this? And then I end up spending, something, maybe what I was going to do probably should take me 30 minutes, but then it's 2 hours later. And it's like, what did you get done? And it's like, that's what I got done in the 2 hours
Yeah.
because we don't take into consideration all the wasted time when our digital files are not organized or we're not organized in that regard. So,
Yeah.
um, wow, this is really empowering. I love this because, yeah, sometimes I feel bad because I'm like, what did I get done today? And it's like, I only got that one thing done, but it's because of the extra time in the beginning and at the end of the project because of looking for different things or, getting started on that. So I think that's great. Wow,
Yeah.
this is so good. And Tracy, you're inspiring me in a lot of ways because this is a reality check that I needed. But you are thriving in so many areas. What a cool business that you have. You have your podcast. But was there ever a season in your life where you feel like you failed? And if so, how and what did you learn from it?
Oh, there's so many things I look back. First, I am always like, I should just quit and go get a job. I go through times like that. And I learned, okay, that's a natural thing that my mind's thinking. And sometimes I'll put parameters on that. Like I can't think about that during my office hours. I can think about that after 5 p.m. I can think about that kind of thing. So that's one of the things
That's good.
learned that I can keep going, that I can keep doing the next thing. But then the other thing I've learned is I've tried so many different things like to grow I had a membership for a while. It turned into a yearly program and I just learned after selling that membership and trying so many things every month that I love doing it for a year. I love selling it at the year mark. I get so excited about it. I have so many new ideas, and it's motivating for me to sell it as a year program rather than month to month. So, I mean, it comes from trial and error and seeing what you like and what works. So, that's two areas.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I love that. And I think I like that how you said parameters around basically like those thoughts, right? Because a lot of those are intrusive thoughts that come in. And it's not wrong, right? When we have those thoughts, but I like how you're like, I'm not gonna dwell on this during my office hours because I think probably so many listeners listening probably have that. I know that I've dealt with that where it's like, okay, I'm gonna get to it. And depending on the day, sometimes I'm super encouraged and I'm like plowing through my list and just getting everything done. And then there's days where it's natural. Some days we just come with very little energy or something happened. We were really looking forward to something. We get discouraged. And now if we let that discouragement seep into our office hours, now we're not productive during the office hours. So I love how you said that, like, if I think of that, I'm going to think of that after hours. I'm not going to think of that when I'm on the clock.
That was really helpful for a time. I could go look for jobs after 5 p.m. And then by then I'm like, I already forgot about doing that.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. That's really encouraging for everyone that's like a new entrepreneur, solo entrepreneur, or, starting a side hustle, all that. I love that. And what would you recommend? You kind of shared with about the person that feels overwhelmed. Like you have you outlined some steps already, but what would you say to someone that just feels so overwhelmed? Like they really feel like they're extremely disorganized. Like, you know, they don't know where to start.
Yeah. I would say first that I hear all the time, I should be able to do this. I should be able to. Why? Why should you be able to? If someone didn't teach you, or if nobody has something that works with the way your brain thinks, why do you think you should? And stop saying that to yourself. Like you shouldn't have it together. You shouldn't know how to organize your computer. None of that is true. And then when I learn a new skill, I love joining something. I love joining a group or getting a coach or, taking a course, something that helps me learn the skill. It makes it more fun. I'm in a community of other people. I have the support when I have questions or get stuck. So those are two things I would say. And then the other thing is follow the organizing steps. Sort, purge, assign home, set limits, and maintain. Whenever you notice your mind is overwhelmed, take a moment and sort everything out of it. Those steps work not only with physical space, not only with your computer, but also with your mind. It's like clearing out a room, and you're going to take everything out and sort it as you go. I like to sort in categories like phone calls I need to make, errands I need to run, business project number one, like admin tasks, and just sort everything out. And one of them would be thoughts that I have in my head. And so you could sort out, then you go back through and you purge, and then you assign homes to those, just like I did with the I'm going to quit. I assigned a home to after 5 p.m. for that. And so you can use the organizing steps on your mind when you're overwhelmed as well as with your things.
I love that. And something that you said that was really interesting was that if your mind doesn't work the way that someone else organized something, that's a big one. Cause I can think back to so many times. Like I remember specific one example when I worked in public relations for a little bit. It was not my favorite thing, but I tried public relations for a little bit for a season. And I remember the organization system at the boutique agency that I worked at was just, it didn't make sense to me. So it's like the
Yeah.
saving, it just did not make sense to me. So it was really hard for me to like get around this organization thing. And then I think the mindset played into that you're not organized, that this is how it
Mhm.
should be. But that's just probably the way that someone else's mind worked, but that's not the way that mine worked. So that doesn't mean that it was organized. It just means that, we have different approaches to things. So can you kind of talk to us about what to do in a situation like that, or what should you tell yourself in situations where maybe an organization system doesn't work for you, but I don't know what it.
Yes. I think that's where the testing comes in. First, I mean, be kind. Whenever you learn something new, it's going to take you a while to get used to it or to understand it or to figure out how to use it. But then the testing comes in. So I like to help clients set up a time like let's test this for a week or 2 weeks. See how it works. If you're hating it, then let's figure something else out and we'll figure it out together and try something else that will work for you. But it is interesting, just a client with ADHD, when I explained the 5 file folders, she was like, "Tracy, it finally makes sense. Like it's simple enough that it makes sense." And then from there, we can figure out what's next, but be patient with yourself, test things, and then keep practicing. I mean, it does take practice too, even for me. Like, I'm like, no, 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 don't put it there. It's going here. We decided it's going to go in this dashboard. You're not going to put anything anywhere. You're going to quit writing things on pieces of paper. You're going to put them in your idea dashboard so that you have everything in one place. That's the key. As much as you can, have one place for a category of things, and then your brain knows it only goes there. But
Yeah. I think I come across that a lot where it's like I'm like, oh, I could be going with all the categories and then there's something comes across my desk. What category does this go into? And then I like freak out. I'm like, wait, is this this? Is this? When there's like cross between, do you have any
yes.
recommendations on what to do with that when you're not sure like what category to put something in?
Yes, it's totally common that some overlap. And I ask myself, okay, where would I think to look for this? And the first one that pops in your mind, put it there, just make a decision and put it there. And regarding like your file structure, once you have it organized to the basics, like you have the general 5 files and maybe you've made a few subcategories in there, then print it out and put it like behind your monitor so that you're seeing that and practicing it and remembering because
Yeah.
it takes a while for you to remember.
Yeah. And I love that. I think how you said, where would I think to put this? That
Yes.
is like the story of our household. Cause my husband, I'll be doing after dinner time when we're giving the kids baths and all that, I'll do the dishes and all that. And then my husband does a reset of the house. So everything that's in the dining room, kitchen, living room, he puts it away somewhere. He makes it look nice. Right. But then what happens is that a few days later, I'm looking for the charger, I'm looking for something. And I'm like, where is this thing? And everywhere that I would go look for it, it's not there.
Yes.
And then at some point, I'm like, I really need this. And then he'll help me look for it. And then it's like he'll find it in a second because he put it where his mind would think to look
Mhm.
for it. So I think that's a really interesting caveat too, that we all have different places where would you look for this? I would never look for certain things in places where he puts it, but
Yeah.
so
Well, and that's where you 2 can work together too and talk about it. And then I like labeling things in households because you need to both remember and both know where it is. So having a label on it and a place that it lives for sure that you both know and understand. But totally, when someone's putting stuff away, I mean, even when I was organizing in people's homes, they would text me, "Where should I look for this?" Even though we decided together, but they just didn't remember, which is totally normal. So having some sort of map, somewhere when you first set these up so that you can remember and you train your brain, that's helpful.
I love this. I love this. Oh my gosh, Tracy, this has been such a great, fruitful conversation. I've learned so many things I'm going to implement into my household and into my digital system for the podcast. But where can people find you? Where can they follow you? Where can they listen to your podcast? Share all.
Yes, my website is simply squaredaway.com and everything is on there. My podcast is the Organized Coach podcast, and I talk about all organizing your business, but also I bring life into it, because we all have lives and homes and things like that too. But those are the two main places that you can find everything with me.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This was such a great conversation.